Everybody wants to get great pictures of their kids, but small children in particular can be pretty tricky because they're so unpredictable. So before you go anywhere near pressing the shutter button, you need to put a bit of thought and effort into thinking how you're going to go about it. Teenagers can be tricky to photograph because they're a bit moody, so you need to make sure they're in the right mental space to have their picture taken. And if they are, you'll probably get some brilliant pictures because they'll be right up for it. They'll be doing crazy stuff and posing all over the place. With little children, you have an advantage because you know the sorts of things that they're into. The only thing to really watch is the time of day. There's no point going out to try and photograph a small child if they're going to be hungry or tired, the sort of time when they're going to be going to have a nap. The little girl that I'm going to photograph, I know very well indeed. And for a long time, she's been going on about wanting to go to the beach with Mummy and Mike. So I think we've got a pretty good chance down here. Now this is a real live sort of photo shoot, so I don't really know what we're going to get. But hopefully we'll still come away with some good stuff. And you'll be able to do that too if you engage the child and have a bit of fun with them. Hello, Layla. Layla, baby. Hello. Hello, baby. Well, that's a good start, isn't it? Okay.
Hello.
This is Natasha. She's my stepdaughter, and you may have met her on our DVD. And this is her little girl, Layla, who's running around all over the place. You having a nice time, Layla? I'm being ignored. Anyway, never mind. Natasha, I just want to go and tell everyone how to set up their camera first, and I'll come back and find you in a tick. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, see you in a mo. The reason I've come over here to be alone with you guys is because little Layla is completely besotted with me and she's completely sweet and adorable. There's no way I could talk to you about camera settings and all that stuff with a 2-year-old rooting around in the camera bag. First of all, which lens are you going to use? I want to start off using a long lens because I like the narrow field of view. It gives a shallow depth of field, so that will kind of make Layla the real subject of the picture. The narrow field of view will be able to isolate her in amongst what's going on down here. There isn't very much going on down here, so it's a really good time to do it. Longer focal lengths also look really good, so I'm using a longish lens. The next thing I need to do is to choose which mode I'm going to shoot in. Because of the unpredictable nature of children, I want to be able to move very quickly. I don't want to be changing my exposure, and I'll have to do that a lot today because the sky is very kind of mottled. The sun's going to be going in and out quite a bit. So I'm going to use aperture priority, also called AV mode, aperture value. So that's the first thing we're going to set on here. Where is it? There it is, AV mode. This means that I can control the aperture to get the look that I want, as in the depth of field. I want a shallow depth of field so that Layla's really the focus of the shot. So I'm going to set an aperture of f5.6. That's really quite a wide aperture, which is going to give me a shallow depth of field. Aperture priority mode means the camera will deal with the shutter speed for me, and I want to make sure I've got the fastest shutter speed that I can use, because long lenses suffer from camera shake. If you're not sure what I'm talking about with some of these things, click the links below the film to find out. I need to make sure I've got the fastest shutter speed I can use, so that's another advantage of the wide aperture. So I'm going to have a quick look and see what kind of an exposure I'm going to get. The way to do this is to look through the camera's viewfinder at an area of kind of neutral tones. You don't want anything too bright or too dark, something very average. And I'm just kind of looking around here. As I look along here at the sort of the sky and these little groins sticking out, that would probably make quite a good... Actually, I'm going to lose the sky and just go for the groins. Looking at that, it says I've got a 500th of a second at f5.6. I need a fast enough shutter speed to freeze any little wobbles or motions that I might make, which would cause the camera shake. If the sun comes out, there'll be more light and the shutter speed will increase, but that's fine. Because I know that even with the sun in, as it is at the moment, I've got a fast enough shutter speed to freeze the action. I don't have to worry if the shutter speed gets faster. And of interest, my ISO is actually set on 200. Because it's so low, I'm actually going to wind it up a little bit to 320. Then I know that I've got a fast enough shutter speed. Next is the autofocus mode that I'm going to use. I want to make sure the camera focuses where I want it to focus, because I want it to focus on Layla's eyes. I don't want the autofocus getting a bit confused. Autofocus is very accurate, but you do need to tell it what to do. So I'm going to choose single point autofocus. That means it's going to focus on one dot in the viewfinder, and I can tell it which dot. I'm going to set it for the very middle of my viewfinder. So all I have to do is to look through the camera, put the middle dot right on Layla's eye. I take up first pressure on the shutter button. I might not want Layla in the middle of my composition, but then I can just kind of take up first pressure, the camera focuses, then I can recompose and press it the rest of the way. It's really quick. I don't want the focus to hunt in and out, and I do want it to be accurate. White balance, it's predominantly cloudy, so I'm going to set my white balance to cloudy. That's going to give me the most accurate colours. I personally don't like using auto mode very much on anything, but on a day like today when things are changing, it could change the white balance all over the place. Plus, if I point it and there's something blue in the background, like those beach huts over there, the camera might see all the blue and the auto white balance will change the colour. If I put it onto the cloudy white balance will stay the same. Finally, the file type. I want to use raw files because they give me the best possible chance for correcting any little changes in brightness or contrast or white balance later on in the computer. I'm not really into fiddling with shots much, but a raw file will give me maximum ability to make sure everything's consistent. I don't want them being a bit blue in one colour or a bit bright or a bit dark or a bit over contrasty or under contrasty. That's about it actually for camera setup. First part of the job is done. No, it isn't. I've just thought. Compositions. You're photographing someone. You want them to be the subject of the picture. I don't want them to be lost in a cluttered background. This is a great place to do this because you can say there isn't much going on. There's nobody much down here at the moment. Height of the summer holidays on a weekend, it's probably going to be pretty busy. I don't want to get things sticking up all over the place. We want Layla to be, she's waving at me, Layla to be the absolute subject of the picture. There we go. I would say that the camera's all set up. We're almost ready to go. And I've thought of something else I need to tell you, and that's light. A day like today is perfect for this sort of thing because there are no strong shafts of light. The sun is behind this predominantly overcast sky, so the light is being shattered by the clouds. It's a nice, soft, even light. There are no nasty shadows or super bright highlights on my face, and that's the last thing you want if you're shooting a portrait. Now, if you've gone out for a day on the beach or something and you want to take some pictures, these are all the steps you have to go through. If you don't have the overcast sky, look for areas of open shade. If there's a great big open space of shade, try and get the kids playing around in that area and line yourself up accordingly to get the kind of shot that you're looking for. If there isn't any shade, you can always backlight. Shoot into the sun, but be very careful if you do that. Watch out for your exposure because the camera might get very confused and underexpose the shots. You can use your your exposure compensation button to deal with that by telling it to always overexpose just a little bit. However which way you do it, watch the exposure if you do that. Now it's probably time to see if we can take some pictures.